It's Meika Safehouse on the Pet Channel with your host, Ian Sprague. How you doing this week, Ian?
We're doing good, James. How about yourself?
Very good, very good. And who do we have here?
So this is little Chanko. He is a gray-headed parrot. And you remember last time we talked, we had Oscar here. Oscar was a Myers parrot, right? Chanko is a brown-headed parrot, sorry, and same group of parrots. So they're from that Poicephalus group is what they're called. And that involves, the Myers, Senegal parrots, brown-headed parrots, and a couple others. But they're all, basically a green parrot, pretty stocky little guys, very powerful birds for their size. All from Africa, and super, super, super smart.
Yeah. And he's another one of these little chirpers. He's not a squawker. He
doesn't squawk very much. No, he makes little noises, but he does speak. He unfortunately he has picked up some maybe not the worst language in the world, but he does curse a little bit. When things don't go his way, you get an old sugar, right? So, but he's a pretty cool little guy, and very, very, very friendly. Seems to prefer a really calm kind of interaction. He doesn't like a lot of screaming and running around, but he likes a calm interaction where he can just sort of hang out.
And that's interesting that you'd bring that up, the screaming and the running around. It's Thanksgiving. Yeah. Not all of us are getting the family events together, but some people are. So got the kids come rolling in. How does that look like for
and that's one of the things that that's the problems with family gatherings or just group gatherings and parrots. Depending on the species of bird, some birds do very well with that, and it's not a big deal. Other birds, and there's going to be a lot of individual preferences, but for a lot of birds, that's a pretty big deal to have people that they're not used to. So if you look at it from a flock dynamic, it would be people from another flock coming in, making a heck of a commotion. Maybe especially with young kids, or maybe you have the uncle that sips a little too much, that'll come over and maybe really disturb the bird. Sometimes there's fingers going in, sometimes they're trying to teach the birds some naughty words or something like that. They think it's funny. They're leaving in 20 minutes, right? So it's funny for them, but for the animals, it can really be a not fair experience. So what I would always suggest you do is that your audience, you're the one throwing the party, so you know what you've got coming over, and if you have a bunch of little kids or like I said, some relatives that are friends and family that are a little bit rowdier than what you think the bird will appreciate, maybe it's a good day for the bird just to go and the bird will be fine in its cage and maybe up into a bedroom somewhere. Out of the way, and just it's only for one night, and the bird will the bird's secure, and the bird's safe, and and nobody's going to bother them.
It's interesting that that they do react like that, because they sure have confidence in together with all 8 or 10 birds. You'd think that they would just think humans were just birds, and
no, they know you're a predator. That's the way you really got to look at it. Instinctually, they understand. We got eyes in front of our heads. That's not something that most birds are really cool on. So it's always amazing. Like, that's the way I always think. That's the magic behind owning or sharing the space with these guys, is that they even have the inkling to spend any time with you, because really everything in their nature is telling them to get the heck away from you. You're something dangerous.
We look a lot like panthers.
Yeah, well, and if you look at it that way, if you think, humans instinctually know, big cats are not something you want to go up and cuddle. No. But this is what we're getting out of these guys. These guys are saying, you know what? I'm willing to trust you. And the relationship you have with these birds is exactly that. It's all based on trust. And so when you have a big gathering or you have a bunch of people coming around, sometimes that trusting is broken. I don't know where he's going. He's just doing laps.
Well, I think he's trying to figure out where I'm at, right?
That could be. I think he's just doing some laps. Oh, here's Janine's hand.
Yeah, there he goes.
And so, so that's kind of the stuff you got to think about at Thanksgiving. And the other thing you would think about at Thanksgiving too is like, what time are you shutting it down tonight? These guys need to sleep. It's not fair for the animal to have to deal with a bunch of people talking and yammering and all this kind of stuff, and they just want to go to bed. So sometimes you got to think it. So it just doesn't hurt to have them put away and separate from the occasion. And of course, it's going to always depend on the individual bird. They all have their own personality. Some birds, they're not bothered by this stuff at all, but other birds, very sensitive to it. I guess, and the last thing that I always need to tell people when it comes to Thanksgiving or any of these things is the kitchen. I know at our place we have a lot of birds that are flighted. They're flying around the house, and when we're doing stuff in the kitchen, I don't even know who this is.
He's very orange. He's orange and yellow on his head.
It's Mango. Mango the sun conure. There we are.
Mango, man. He looks like a mango. Yeah. Isn't he funny? He wants to get right in.
Oh yeah, he's got to be part of the action all the time.
Okay, you just got to go with it. Kitchen.
Yeah, and you just sort of go with the flow. But that's what I mean. So when you're working in the kitchen, that's not something you want to come across. So we in our house, because we're living in an older house, it's easy because we have a separation between the kitchen and the rest of the living area. We just hang a screen up and they can't come through. But I know in a lot of the newer houses are these open concept houses and stuff like that. So you have to be aware. You have birds flying around, and the stove's right there. We've had birds that one that comes to mind. A lady was making some sort of candies or something like that on the stove, and her budgie came in and actually jumped onto the side of the pot and really burned its feet fairly badly. So you have to be aware of the hot surfaces. These guys can come out of nowhere. Sometimes they're just they're just trying to get your attention. They're trying to be involved in what you're doing, but they can actually get hurt fairly badly. And then of course there's always the Teflon thing.
Teflon. And then the thing that was surprising to me. And then actually, I think that we caused the passing away of a budgie that we had for years that just passed. And after that show, I think that's how it happened. But the one that I was wondering about, especially when I think of Thanksgiving dinners and these big family dinners, you've got pots on your stove way bigger than you normally do. Yeah. And you're opening the oven, and there's way more things in there, and there's these big puffs of steam,
heat,
coming off, like so, and their lungs seem very sensitive. So that kind of puff of steam that can damage too, right?
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. Good thing you brought that up. I didn't know these things existed until last year, but I had somebody come in, and there's a thing called a cooking bag. So they actually put the bird or whatever they're cooking in this bag, and they stuff it in the oven, and I guess it helps keep the juices or whatever. I'm not a chef by any means, but those cooking bags a lot of times have Teflon linings in them. So last year, and that's the first time I ever heard of it, somebody in our network of people lost a bird simply because of that. And so, and just exactly how you described it, James. They open the oven. They have this bag of cooked food. They open it. The puff of steam and smoke comes out, and next thing you know, they're taking their bird to the emergency vet because of and the bird perished in that case. But nobody knew, nobody thought about that, right? So there's always a learning curve. But when it comes to the kitchen, at our house, we have it separate so the birds can't come in there. But it doesn't matter if it's 30 below. That window's open if we're doing some serious cooking in there. So.
And then you look at some of the more formidable members of your bird team, like Tico and Eleanor and Taz. Yeah. So, are like loudmouth, kind of obnoxious guests. Could a bird like that land on their shoulder and just like bite them just because they know that they're rude too?
Yeah, birds, are exactly like people. They pick their favorites, So in a group of people, the birds will gravitate towards the ones they like, Yeah. And unfortunately, and it's just the way it goes, and this is an observation by me, this is not scientific or anything like that, but I always find the person who's pushing the hardest, wanting to interact with that bird or something, is not the one the bird wants to go to, right? The bird is going to, is doing this a little bit, but they're only going to back up so far. You got to remember, you are in their house, okay? So, and Tico and Eleanor are a perfect example of that. People will come, and Eleanor is very malleable. She doesn't care, she'll go with anybody at any time. She's like that. Tico, on the other hand, doesn't put up with that stuff. So he will sit there and he'll watch, you come over and stick up, ask Eleanor to step up, ask her, and he'll let you do that for a brief period of time. But then what will happen is that he will, and he thinks this through, he will come around to the back of the play stand that he's on. And as soon as you put your hand up, he comes from down here. Right. So, so it's something you really have to watch. And it's just something you don't get involved in. I always just try to nip that in the bud before it gets there. So
like I know that when we had the beak episode, you made these beaks sound like really sensitive little noses, but these things are cartilage crushers, so they could easily bite an ear off or
oh yeah. Yeah, and but nowadays all you do is you stuff a jewel in there and you say that's fashion now, right?
Fashion, that's good. Now, I've never asked you about how you decide who gets to come to the store during the day. Like, how many birds do you bring? What do you rotate?
Well, so we most of the bigger guys are at the house. A lot of it comes down to, who wants to come. So in the mornings, a lot of times, everybody's sleeping in their cages, they're having their breakfast and all that. And as they're having their breakfast, always somebody got to say something, but where I'll be doing breakfast and you kind of get to see their body language. How are they feeling today? Are you up for it? And then after that, I kind of say, okay, well, I've narrowed it down to, 4 or 5 birds. And then after that, I say, hey, you've had your breakfast. I'm ready to go. Do you want to come? And if they step onto my hand, off we go. If they kind of look at me like, no, then that's it. You stay home today. You just ask them the question. It's just like you would with people.
So Chanko and Mango, literally you gave them the offer. They hop on your hand and then you put them in the carrying case.
Exactly.
And so they know exactly what's happening.
Oh yeah, they know what's up. And then and they also know that if they say no, I'll respect that, and they don't have to.
But then they're at the house all day. They're getting it's pretty good, but it's predictable. But when they come to the shop, hey,
there's lots of neat stuff that can go on here, and you know what
there's a chicken there.
People always kind of look at the food dishes when they see the birds on the stand here, and they go, no, that doesn't look like that big healthy routine that you just told me about. I see pellets there, but I see a lot of treat kind of foods in there. Well, that's part of the gig about going to the store.
That's right.
You're going to meet a lot of people that maybe you don't want to meet, but you're going to eat only your favorite foods.
Revels and sour cream and onion chips. No,
absolutely. It's like the ice cream.
When we were kids, that's what it was for going to the store, right?
Yeah, Fudgios or whatever, Fudgicles.
That's awesome. And then anything on the agenda? What's on the calendar?
Well, the Parrot Club has reopened, but only virtually.
Okay.
So it's okay. It's a huge learning curve, as everybody's hitting that. So there's not much going to go on there. Janine has beaten me down, so we are setting up the pirate ship here in the store this week. So if people would like to come in and see the pirate ship and take pictures. Yeah. So there was we had an open fight on Facebook here on our Facebook channel about setting up the pirate ship, and I held out until now. But so we've had to. So the pirate ship's going up. So if anybody's been here at Halloween, it's a great huge pirate ship. You know, you can have a take a picture with the pirate at your phone if you like. But yeah, so just for Halloween.
That's awesome. Stuff. That's fantastic. And that goes up when?
Well, I'll be putting it up this week. I'll probably have it up. I'll have it up by Friday for sure.
So next week,
Jean has her way. I'll have it up in 5 minutes.
That's right. So next week we can have the pirate ship show.
Absolutely. So, chickens of the Caribbean. You bet.
So do you dress up as a pirate?
No.
But you carry a pirate. You carry a parrot.
I do, and there is a pirate at the door right now. We have a big pirate at the door.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be cool.
Meika Safehouse on the Pet Channel with your host Ian Sprague. We did have Chanko and we saw Mango. It was a great show.
Yeah, you betcha.
Thank you so kindly.